Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your stimulus check update for the second stimulus package for Monday, July 27th. I hope everyone is off to a good and safe start to their Monday so far. In this video, I'll be discussing both the first and second stimulus checks, including with the Senate now returning to Washington today, do we have any chance of seeing their version of the relief package? I'll also be discussing which group of people are expected to be included in the next round of stimulus payments, unemployment, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, giving me a big thumbs up, it really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so the Senate is finally back in Washington today where they will resume talks on the next relief package. And from here, they'll have just 10 working days to get this next relief package passed through the Senate, because after August 7th, they will be going on another month-long recess. Now, it is certainly possible they may end up delaying that recess to get this next relief package passed through. However, Mitch McConnell has not yet said whether he would consider delaying that recess to get this next relief package passed. It may be because he may truly want to take the next recess and just put off stimulus talks for another month, or it could be that he's using that as leverage in wanting Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats to know there's a tight timeline, and then because of that, the Democrats may be more willing to accept the Republicans' demands. It is expected that at some point this week, the Republicans will unveil their stimulus package plan, which at that point in time will have to be negotiated over with the Democrats. Now, late last week, Mitch McConnell did make mention that this next relief package could take a few weeks to pass. So as you can probably tell, Mitch McConnell and the rest of the Senate Republicans left Washington in a very pessimistic mood. White House Economic Advisor Stephen Moore advised Republicans to focus on negotiating with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Moore believes that GOP lawmakers need to present unity and stop negotiating with themselves. He wants the Republicans to come to a partisan agreement and come up with an unemployment plan. Moore said, quote, "Republicans have to say what they stand for here. They have to stand up for tax cuts, deregulation, school choice. All of these things that need to be in the stimulus bill, but right now it looks like they are not." Now, tax cuts, if you remember, were something that Trump and other White House officials were calling for. President Donald Trump even went as far as saying that he would consider vetoing any bill that was passed by the House and the Senate that did not include payroll tax cuts. Since making those statements, however, he's backed down and said he wants to get money into the hands of Americans as quickly as possible. And in order to get money into the hands of Americans as quickly as possible, you have to give these stimulus checks. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said, quote, "The direct payments are a much quicker way of effectively giving everyone a tax cut, much quicker than the payroll tax cut." Mnuchin went on to say, "June retail sales were 1% higher than June of last year, so all that money we pumped into the economy, it worked, people went out and spent." So it's pretty clear right now that stimulus payments are much preferred over a payroll tax cut among members of Congress. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said that even from the very beginning, it was pretty clear that Democrats were not going to allow payroll tax cuts to be in this bill. So that, combined with other Republicans not being a fan of the payroll tax cut, is essentially the reason why we probably won't be seeing one in the next relief package. Anyhow, White House Economic Advisor Stephen Moore firmly believes that Republicans need to get on the same page. That way, they can at the very least get down to negotiating with the Democrats. Moore went on to say, quote, "My message to Donald Trump is a bad stimulus plan is worse for the American economy than no plan at all." Which I guess one person could argue is not true, because I would think that some type of stimulus plan would be better than no plan at all, but to each of their own. Okay, so some Republicans say that making $600 per week on the federal unemployment boost is too much because it provides a disincentive to return to work. And on the other hand, we have some Democrats that say that earning $600 per week is perfectly fine just because we're going through the pandemic right now and it's hard to find jobs. So then I say start negotiating now, find a middle point, and reach an agreement. That's exactly why you negotiate, to come up with a fair midpoint that works for both sides. If the Republicans can't even come up with a partisan agreement among themselves, then we can't even get down to the negotiating table with the Democrats. So with millions of Americans already receiving their last federal unemployment boost payments this past weekend, Republicans and Democrats must work together to get something passed soon for the American people. This is just way too important to sit back and bicker for weeks on end. What do you guys personally think about this? If you were in charge and you were going to extend the federal unemployment benefits, would you extend them for another 6 months at $600? Would you extend them for another 6 months at $200? or would you pick a point between the two? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Now, as far as stimulus checks go, they are more or less a guarantee at this point in time. Stimulus checks are one thing that we know for certainty at this point in time that will most definitely be included in the next stimulus package. Now, I think we can all remember that interview Donald Trump had a few weeks back where he said he wanted to be more generous than the Democrats and give more than $1,200. However, unfortunately, it seems like he's not able to get the other Republicans on board with that plan. It really doesn't seem that Trump's words carry too much weight, because if you remember, he wanted the payroll tax cut. Now, most likely we're not going to have a payroll tax cut. Then he called for bigger stimulus payments, and we're probably not going to have bigger stimulus payments. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin recently came out and said that everyone who received the first round of stimulus payments will also be eligible for the second round as well, so it's looking like it's going to be the same as the CARES Act. Senators Marco Rubio and Thom Tillis are pushing for stimulus payments to go to U.S. citizens married to foreign nationals without Social Security numbers. In the CARES Act, believe it or not, if you were a U.S. citizen but you were married to a foreigner without a Social Security number, then you were not eligible for a stimulus payment. It wasn't just the foreigner not receiving the stimulus payment, it was you, the US citizen, not receiving any type of stimulus payment either. That's just craziness on all levels, right? Approximately 1.7 million Americans were excluded from CARES Act payments because of that loophole. And these two senators want to make sure that payments aren't excluding these millions of Americans in the next round of payments. They believe in two different things here. One, American citizens should not be excluded government aid based on who they married, and Republicans should not be excluding any group of voters at a time when President Trump's poll numbers are dropping and the GOP is at risk of losing its Senate majority. And personally, I can't see any members of the GOP voting against this proposal. If they did, their motives would for sure be put in question. Why would you not send stimulus payments to United States citizens just because they are married to a foreigner without a Social Security number? That is just baffling to me. It's ludicrous. Okay, so we all know that the Democrats want to expand the amount of stimulus payments handed out, and they want to include individuals over the 17 who were claimed as dependents on someone else's tax returns. This would also require the budget for stimulus payments to be expanded. If you remember, we spent around $300 billion in stimulus payments alone in the CARES Act. Now, most likely in the end, at least in my opinion, those dependents over the age of 17 are most likely going to be left out this time around as well, although I do believe that US citizens married to foreigners without Social Security numbers will end up receiving their stimulus payments this time. And obviously between now and whenever this relief package gets passed, there is going to be a lot of negotiation that takes place, so there is nothing final yet and a lot can possibly change, so I will definitely keep you guys updated on that. Now, because of the overall budget restrictions on this next relief package, there's going to be a lot of things that won't be included in this next relief package, such as hazard pay for essential workers. Now, it is certainly possible that hazard pay may be in the next relief package. The Democrats included that in their HEROES Act, but with a $1 trillion budget, there really just isn't much room, so I would expect the budget to have to maybe increase up to $2 trillion or maybe $1.5 trillion to fit in hazard pay for essential workers. With that said, again, I will keep you guys updated if anything changes. I do hope there is something in there for essential workers, but we'll just have to wait and see. The one positive take that I think we can all take out of this is that, for one, Democrats and Republicans both agree that a second round of stimulus payments need to be sent out, so we will definitely see a second round of stimulus payments. And secondly, Republicans and Democrats both agree that unemployment benefits need to be extended. The only disagreement at this point in time is that the Democrats want to give more in unemployment and the Republicans want to give a little bit less. So once we work that out, we're going to have another round of stimulus payments, and we're also going to be seeing the extension of the unemployment benefits. And in the end, even with all of the political turbulence going on right now, I do firmly believe, and I'm very confident, that the Democrats and the Republicans will be able to work together to get this next relief package passed. This is what they're paid the big bucks to do. Okay, so just a quick update on the first round of stimulus payments. As I've mentioned many times before, unfortunately, there are still millions of people who haven't even received their first stimulus payment, which is ridiculous at this point in time. It's been months, and the IRS is still sending payments out on a week-by-week basis. So in the meantime, just continue checking the payment portal. If you're still receiving the message of payment status not available, that does not mean that you're ineligible. It just means they have not yet scheduled a delivery date for you. Now, you can always call the IRS if you have any questions about your first stimulus payment. Their number is 1-800-919-9835. I would recommend to call a little bit earlier in the day though, because the hold times generally seem to be a little bit longer the longer you wait in the day to call them. Also, just know that the majority of the information that they will be able to give you is the same information that you'll be able to find through the payment portal. So my main recommendation would be just to continue checking the payment portal on a day-by-day basis, and you will eventually receive a payment date, and you will eventually receive your payment. So hang in there, try not to drive yourself too crazy. I know it's very stressful, but you will eventually receive your payment. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm just gonna go ahead and answer some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. And if you have any other comments or questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to respond to as many comments and questions as I possibly can. And those comments and questions that I'm not able to respond to, I do try to pick some of the more popular ones to answer in the next video in video form. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video. And that comes from Jeffrey. Jeffrey says, Josh, do you have any idea about people that claim us as dependents? Are dependents over the age of 17 receiving a check this time? All right, thank you so much for that question, Jeffrey. And at this point in time, since the next relief package has not yet passed, I'm unable to say with certainty. However, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin did come out and say that everyone who received the first stimulus payment will also be eligible for the second stimulus payment. So if we do something similar as in the CARES Act, that would also mean that dependents over the age of 17 won't be receiving any type of stimulus payment, which is extremely unfortunate. The House Democrats probably will fight and try to negotiate to get those dependents over the age of 17 to also receive a stimulus payment. But more than likely, I can't see that happening, but I will definitely keep you updated on that. Okay, so the next question of today's video comes from Papo. Papo says, how are they going to deposit the stimulus check? All right, thank you so much for that question, Papo. And more than likely, your second stimulus payment is going to be deposited in the same fashion as your first stimulus payment was. So if your first stimulus payment was mailed in the mail to your address, then you're probably going to be getting a check in the mail this time as well. And if your first payment was directly deposited into your bank account, then this one should also be directly deposited into your bank account as well. Now, if you had your first stimulus payment mailed to you and you want this one to be a little bit quicker, there should be some way to go back through the payment portal to upload your direct deposit information. That way you'll receive a direct deposit this time around to make it much quicker. Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so, and it's a great support to me. Also, if you would like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull, the second free stock valued all the way up to $1,400, please feel free to claim those 2 free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.